Imagine a world where every single day billions of people reach for a drink that awakens the body, sharpens the mind, and stirs the senses, a drink whose aroma can transport you to another dimension even before the first sip touches your lips. That drink is coffee, the most popular beverage on the planet. Second only to water. What makes coffee truly extraordinary isn't just its taste or aroma, but the way it affects both body and mind. A single bean holds hundreds of chemical compounds, caffeine, antioxidants, polyphenols, all interacting with our metabolism, stimulating the nervous system and subtly lifting our mood. The story of coffee is a journey of discoveries, legends, and travels that carried it from the highlands of Africa to every corner of the world, shaping a coffee-drinking culture woven into the lives of millions. Imagine Ethiopia, a land of sprawling hills and lush green valleys where the sun rises over the mountains and the air smells of fresh soil and wild plants. According to legend, it was there that a goat herder named Kaldi noticed something unusual. After eating the red berries from a small shrub, his goats began jumping, running, and acting as if they had suddenly gained a burst of incredible energy. Curious, Kaldi tried the fruit himself and soon felt the same surge of vitality. This extraordinary story, passed down through generations, is more than just a legend. It's a symbol of the beginning of one of humanity's greatest adventures. The journey of coffee from Ethiopia's wild shrubs to cups around the world. Ethiopia remains the heart of coffee to this day. It's the home of wild Arabica varieties that eventually gave rise to all modern coffee plants. High mountain farms, bright sun, and fertile soil create the perfect conditions for coffee to develop its signature flavor and aroma. The tale of Kaldi isn't just the start of coffee's history. It's a reminder that from the very beginning, coffee was more than a drink. It was a discovery that connected nature, people, and energy within a single fruit. After coffee's energizing effects were discovered in Ethiopia, the Arabs were the first to bring it into the wider world, cultivating the shrubs in Yemen. There, the first true plantations were established, and coffee became an essential part of daily and spiritual life. The drink accompanied prayers, gatherings, and long conversations in Sufi homes. The beans were roasted, ground, and brewed in ways that still inspire modern coffee enthusiasts. Coffee arrived in Europe first through Italy and France, and from there spread across the continent. The first cafes began to appear, places where intellectuals, artists, and merchants met to talk, debate, and exchange ideas. The spread of coffee through Europe also helped spark global trade. Colonial empires began establishing plantations across Latin America, Asia, and Africa, creating production systems that still shape today's global coffee economy. The most well-known species of coffee are Arabica and Robusta, though the world is home to several lesser-known varieties that often remain in their shadow. Arabica, Coffea arabica, is considered the highest quality coffee. It grows in high mountain regions and requires very specific climate and soil conditions. Its beans are more delicate and aromatic, with lower caffeine content, creating a gentle, complex cup with fruity or floral notes. Robusta, Coffea canephora, on the other hand, is hardier and more resistant to disease and harsh weather. It contains more caffeine, giving the brew a stronger bitterness and a bold, full-bodied flavor. Robusta is often used in espresso blends to boost crema and enhance the drink's energizing qualities. Beyond Arabica and Robusta, there are lesser-known varieties like Liberica and Excelsa, each offering unique aromas and flavors, sometimes more floral or fruity than classic Arabica. Although their cultivation is limited to specific regions, they offer exciting tasting experiences for coffee connoisseurs and experimental producers. These differences between species influence not only the taste and aroma of the brew, but also growing requirements, disease resistance, and economic potential for coffee-producing regions. Choosing a species and variety becomes a key decision for farmers and consumers alike, shaping both the experience of drinking coffee and the culture surrounding it. Coffee is a remarkably demanding plant, almost capricious, needing very specific conditions to produce beans with full aroma and flavor. The finest Arabica grows in higher mountain altitudes, usually between 3,300 and 6,500 feet above sea level, where the air is cool and the sun gentle. Altitude plays a crucial role in the pace at which the fruit ripens. the slower the maturation. The more time the bean has to develop complex aromas and natural sweetness. Robusta, however, is more resilient and can grow at lower elevations in warmer climates. Making it hardier but giving it a less subtle flavor profile, hot climate is essential. The plants require steady rainfall and humidity to stay properly nourished. Severe droughts or heavy downpours can reduce both the quantity and quality of the harvest. For this reason, coffee farms thrive in tropical regions with regular rainfall and stable temperatures year-round. Soil is just as important. Rich, well-draining soil full of minerals supports healthy root development and nutrient absorption. Volcanic soils in Latin America or Southeast Asia provide minerals that influence not only plant health but also the final taste of the coffee. Introducing subtle chocolatey, fruity, or floral notes. Shade also plays a key role in the quality of the crop. Shade trees protect coffee shrubs from harsh sunlight, while helping regulate moisture and temperature in the microclimate. These natural canopies allow the fruit to ripen more slowly, resulting in richer aromas and a more complex cup. Harvest season is the culmination of the farmer's year-round work, the moment when nature and human effort come together to reveal the plant's most precious treasure. Coffee cherries ripen unevenly, so harvesting requires precision and patience. In many regions, especially on high-altitude Arabica farms, the cherries are picked by hand, one by one, selecting only the perfectly ripe ones. Mechanized harvesting, used mostly for Robusta, is faster but doesn't always ensure the highest quality. Since unripe or overripe fruits can end up in the same batch, the moment of harvest is incredibly important. Because the ripeness of the fruit determines the balance of sugars, acids, and aromas that will later define the flavor and character of the coffee. Ripe cherries are juicy, deep red or yellow, and rich in natural sugars. Underripe cherries bring bitterness, while overripe ones can add unwanted fermentation notes. The way coffee cherries are picked and handled matters too. Hand picking allows farmers to control the quality of every single fruit, separating healthy cherries from damaged or infected ones, while also minimizing waste. On mechanized farms, machines shake the branches, sometimes adjusting the vibrations to match the height of the limbs, but in this process, some cherries may be damaged or stripped before reaching optimal flavor. After harvesting, the cherries move on to further processing, but the harvest itself already shapes the quality of the beans. That's why experienced growers often say that coffee begins not at the roastery or in the cup, but at the moment the fruit is picked and carefully selected by hand. This stage, though demanding time and effort, forms the foundation of every cup of coffee we later drink. A cup full of pleasure and aroma. Born from the careful work of human hands and the patience of nature. Now, we enter the most critical stage, the one that largely determines the flavor and aroma of the brew. Processing the beans. There are two main processing methods: wet, washed, and dry, natural. Each has its own strengths and gives the beans a distinct flavor profile. The wet process begins with removing the fruit pulp almost immediately after harvest. The cherries are submerged in water, where the slimy mucilage layer surrounding the beans undergoes fermentation. This fermentation usually lasts several dozen hours, allowing natural enzymes to break down the remaining pulp. The beans are then thoroughly washed and dried. The result is a coffee with a clean, bright flavor, often with floral and fruity notes and a more delicate acidity, perfect for those who appreciate refined, elegant aromas. The dry process is simpler but requires significant patience. The whole cherries are spread out in the sun and dried for days or even weeks until they reach the ideal moisture level. During this time, the pulp slowly ferments and dehydrates, transferring its sweetness and aroma to the beans. Natural processed coffee tends to have a fuller, more complex flavor, sometimes with notes of berries or dried fruits and a distinctive sweetness. But the process is riskier. Uneven drying can lead to off flavors or mold, so it requires close attention and expertise. Many farmers also use a hybrid method called the honey process, which combines aspects of both techniques. Part of the pulp is removed, while some remains on the beans during drying. This creates a coffee with an intermediate flavor profile, retaining the clarity of washed coffees but with added natural sweetness from the dry method. In short, processing is one of the key stages that shape the quality of coffee. It's not just about hygiene or preserving the beans. It's about developing the full range of aromas and subtle flavor nuances that we later experience in the cup. It's a moment where nature and human expertise work together to turn coffee into something far beyond an ordinary drink, a true explosion of flavor. Roasting is the moment when coffee truly begins to live. This is where most of the aromas and flavors we later enjoy in the cup are created. Raw coffee beans, hard and green, have only faint vegetal notes and a slightly bitter edge. It's only under high temperatures, usually between 356 degrees Fahrenheit and 464 degrees Fahrenheit, pack minus 240 degrees Celsius, that complex chemical reactions take place. Sugars caramelize. Amino acids react with sugars in the Maillard reaction. And the oils and aromatic compounds inside the bean release a rich bouquet of flavors. The degree of roasting shapes the character of the coffee. Light roasts preserve most of the bean's natural aromas, highlighting acidity and fruity notes. The beans appear lighter, often with a pale or yellowish-brown tint, and the caffeine remains fully active. Medium roasts create more sweetness, caramelize the sugars, and bring out chocolatey, nutty or spicy flavors, balancing acidity and bitterness. Dark roasts, popular for espresso, give the beans a deep, almost chocolate color, intense bitterness, and a heavy, full-bodied flavor. Though some natural aromas are muted by the sugars reaching burning point, roasting also causes water and mass to be reduced, and the beans become porous, which is why roasted beans release their aromas more easily during brewing. Chemical changes also affect caffeine perception, although caffeine itself is heat-stable. Differences in flavor and bitterness often make us feel like darker roasts are stronger, even if that's not always the case. Roasting is an art that blends science and experience. It's the moment when raw green beans transform into the aromatic heart of coffee, ready to deliver energy, pleasure, and depth of flavor with every cup. After roasting, the beans move on to another essential step, grinding and brewing, which determine the final taste of the drink. Grinding turns the hard beans into fine particles, increasing the surface area that comes in contact with water and allowing for effective extraction of aromas and chemical compounds. The grind size depends on the brewing method. Espresso requires an extra fine grind. French press needs a coarse one, while drip and AeroPress use a medium grind. Each change in grind size affects extraction and flavor balance. During brewing, extraction takes place. Water pulls oils, acids, sugars, and aromatic compounds from the coffee, creating a complex beverage. The contact time, temperature, and pressure determine which flavors dominate. Espresso's high pressure and high temperature extract intense aromas and bold bitterness. Drip coffee's gentler extraction highlights acidity and fruity notes. And cold brew's long steeping in cold water produces a smooth, sweet drink with minimal bitterness. Different brewing methods also affect the caffeine content of the final cup. Although espresso tastes strong, a single shot contains less caffeine than a full cup of drip coffee, which extracts more compounds due to longer contact with water. Grinding and brewing are where all the earlier stages, growing, harvesting, fermenting, drying, and roasting, come together in a single experience. This is where nature meets technique and the bean becomes a drink that energizes, delights the senses, and creates ritual. Every cup of coffee tells a story of hundreds of hours of labor and hundreds of chemical reactions, all condensed into its aroma, flavor, and texture. Coffee is a remarkable chemical cocktail, shaped by millions of years of plant evolution, thousands of years of human cultivation, and complex processing methods. Its effects and flavor come from hundreds of chemical compounds working together to create a symphony for both the senses and the body. The most famous of these is caffeine, a purine alkaloid that enters the central nervous system by blocking adenosine receptors. By blocking these fatigue signals, caffeine helps the brain wake up, increasing alertness and focus. It also stimulates the release of adrenaline, creating a physical sense of stimulation, raising heart rate, and enhancing physical performance. Studies show that regular, moderate caffeine consumption may improve short-term memory and concentration, and even reduce the risk of certain neurodegenerative diseases. Beyond caffeine, coffee is a treasure trove of aromatic compounds. More than 1,000 identified aroma components are found in coffee beans, and their combination depends on the plant species. growing conditions, ripeness of the fruit, processing method, and roasting profile. Chlorogenic acids are responsible for coffee's fresh, slightly fruity character. During roasting, some of them break down into caffeic and phenolic acids, which contribute chocolatey and caramel notes. Organic acids, such as citric, malic, and tartaric acid, subtly shape the acidity of the drink, with their proportions varying depending on the growing region and coffee variety. We can't overlook the essential oils and fats found in coffee. They provide body, smooth texture, and the richness of aroma released during brewing. As the beans roast, fats release esters and aldehydes, adding fruity, floral, spicy, and even smoky notes. In the end, a cup of coffee is the result of hundreds of chemical reactions, Maillard reactions, sugar caramelization, phenol oxidation, all coming together to create a harmonious beverage. Minerals and micronutrients play their part as well. Coffee contains magnesium, potassium, niacin, antioxidants, and other bioactive compounds that influence metabolism, cardiovascular health, and neurological function. Chlorogenic acid acts as an antioxidant, reducing oxidative stress and supporting cellular health. Epidemiological studies show that moderate coffee consumption may correlate with reduced risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and some cancers. Though the mechanisms behind these effects are still being actively studied, it's impossible to overlook the way caffeine interacts with the other compounds in coffee. When caffeine joins forces with phenols and essential oils, it shapes the drink's flavor and feel, adding a pleasant bitterness, balancing acidity, and amplifying aroma. This synergy of chemical elements turns coffee into a kind of elixir of the senses, energizing the body, relaxing the mind, and delivering subtle flavor and aromatic cues that the brain interprets as pure pleasure. Coffee's chemistry also influences physiological processes in the digestive system. Caffeine stimulates the production of stomach acid and digestive enzymes, which can speed up digestion and gently encourage intestinal movement. The phenolic acids naturally present in coffee have antioxidant properties and can help modulate the gut microbiome, supporting a healthy balance of beneficial bacteria. In short, every cup of coffee is the result of hundreds of thousands of hours of evolution, hundreds of hours of work from growers, and millions of chemical reactions that fuse taste, aroma, and stimulation into a single magical moment. Each bean is like a miniature laboratory, where nature and human craftsmanship work together to create an experience so complex and universal that it's hard to find another drink combining so much knowledge, history, and chemistry in a single sip. Coffee isn't just caffeine and flavor, it's a treasure chest of bioactive compounds that influence the body on many levels. The most important of these are antioxidants, such as chlorogenic acids, polyphenols, and flavonoids, which help protect cells from oxidative stress and support the body's natural defense mechanisms. These compounds turn a cup of coffee into a small daily shield bearer, neutralizing free radicals and supporting cardiovascular health. There are also trace minerals and vitamins, present in smaller amounts but still meaningful. Magnesium, potassium, niacin, and various antioxidants create a complex mix that supports metabolism, regulates enzymatic functions, and helps keep the brain sharp. Polyphenols act as a gentle regulator of blood sugar, improving insulin sensitivity, while phenolic acids may influence the gut microbiome and contribute to a healthy balance of intestinal flora. Interestingly, different brewing methods dramatically change the level of these bioactive compounds. Drip and pour-over methods often preserve more acids and polyphenols, producing a bright, aromatic cup with distinct fruity or floral notes. Espresso, extracted under high pressure, delivers intense aroma and a concentrated dose of caffeine per ounce, though it may contain slightly fewer antioxidants per serving. Cold brew, steeped for many hours in cold water, yields a smooth, naturally sweet coffee where some polyphenols remain but acidity drops significantly, creating a softer, sweeter mouthfeel. The degree of roasting also shapes the final composition. Light and medium roasts retain more chlorogenic acids and polyphenols, resulting in higher antioxidant activity, while darker roasts develop deeper, more intense flavors and bitterness at the cost of some of those compounds. Choosing beans and brewing methods is therefore not only a matter of taste, it directly affects the bioactive value of the cup. What makes coffee truly exceptional is the combination of caffeine, polyphenols, acids, and trace minerals, all working together to create a drink that energizes and supports the body on a cellular level. That's why a cup of coffee is far more than a beverage. It's a small ritual that awakens the senses, boosts energy, and provides compounds that may support long-term health. Coffee isn't only chemistry and flavor, it is also culture, ritual, and the art of brewing, each region of the world adding its own signature touch. These traditions shape not just how coffee tastes, but how it's shared and celebrated. In Ethiopia, the birthplace of coffee, people continue to practice the traditional coffee ceremony. Beans are roasted by hand over an open flame, then ground manually, and brewed in a clay pot called a jebina. The drink is poured into small cups and often brewed 3 times, creating a communal ritual centered on conversation, hospitality, and the aroma of freshly roasted coffee. In Turkey, coffee symbolizes tradition and hospitality. The method involves the sezv, a small copper pot in which extremely fine grounds are simmered. The resulting drink is thick, rich, and often served with grounds settling at the bottom. Preparing and drinking Turkish coffee is a ritual requiring patience, and it's also used for traditional fortune-telling, where the patterns left by the grounds are read to predict the future. In Italy, coffee has reached near perfection in the form of espresso. The brief, intense extraction under pressure produces a bold, aromatic shot with deep flavor. Espresso is woven into everyday life, enjoyed quickly at the bar, often paired with a morning pastry. From the same foundation of espresso come cappuccinos, lattes, and macchiatos, drinks that have become icons around the world. In Scandinavia and Northern Europe, drip and pour-over methods dominate. Hot water is slowly poured over grounds in a filter, producing a clean, delicate cup with bright acidity and nuanced fruity or floral notes. Drinking coffee, there is often a quiet morning ritual or an afternoon pause, a moment of calm shared with family or enjoyed alone. In Japan, coffee brewing is approached with meticulous precision. The siphon method showcases this perfectly. Water is heated over a flame, rising into a glass chamber where it extracts the coffee before descending again through a filter. The result is a crystal clear, aromatic brew created through a visually captivating, almost scientific process. Modern trends have also embraced cold brew, steeped in cold water for many hours. The result is a gentle, sweet, low-acid coffee perfect for warm days, a shift in how we think about coffee, transforming it from a morning stimulant into a refreshing, sensory ritual. But the world of coffee isn't just aroma and pleasure. It's also surrounded by controversies and ethical challenges. Even though coffee grows far from where most people drink it, its cultivation, trade, and consumption have global consequences for both humanity and the environment. One of the most significant issues involves working conditions on plantations. In some regions of Africa and Latin America, workers face low wages, long hours, and limited access to education. Children sometimes take part in the harvest, raising ethical concerns and violating human rights. To address these problems, initiatives like fair trade aim to secure fair wages and improved working conditions for growers. Just as urgent is the question of sustainable farming. Coffee plants require specific climate and soil conditions, which has led to deforestation, soil erosion, and the degradation of local ecosystems. There is growing emphasis on shade-grown cultivation and environmentally friendly methods that reduce pesticide use and support biodiversity, though they often require more knowledge and come at higher costs. We also can't ignore climate change, which is already reshaping global coffee production. Rising temperatures, droughts, and increasingly unpredictable rainfall are shifting growing zones, reducing the availability of high-quality Arabica and forcing farms to adapt or switch species altogether. This affects flavor, quality, and ultimately the livelihoods of farmers who depend on stable harvests. And in the world of consumption, there are growing controversies around coffee processing. Aggressive extraction techniques, industrial roasting, and the addition of artificial flavoring strip many coffees of their natural character and limit the health benefits normally carried by polyphenols and antioxidants. More and more consumers are seeking gourmet, single-origin, and specialty coffees, choosing to support responsible farming and enjoy a richer, more authentic flavor experience. Coffee, then, is far more than a cup of fragrant brew. It is a global system in which flavor, tradition, chemistry, and ethics intertwine. Every sip can be not just a pleasure, but a conscious choice that impacts people, animals, and ecosystems around the world. For centuries, coffee has fascinated people not only with its taste and aroma, but also with its history, economics, and biology. In fact, coffee was once used as currency in Ethiopia and Arabia. Beans carried value comparable to money, showing how precious the drink was even in medieval times. People didn't just drink coffee, they traded it, saved it, and treated it as a form of wealth. One of the most astonishing facts is that the world's most expensive coffee is made from the droppings of civet, cats, small mammals living in Asia and Africa. Civets naturally select the ripest coffee cherries, eat them, and pass the beans through their digestive system, where their flavor and aroma are transformed. The beans are collected from the droppings, washed, roasted, and turned into coffee with an extremely unique profile and a price tag to match. But this method also brings serious ethical concerns. Looking at global production, the largest coffee-growing regions are Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia, while consumption is dominated by the United States, Germany, and the Scandinavian countries. And it's worth remembering that coffee is still a tropical plant that requires precise climate conditions and specific elevations, making truly high-quality specialty beans a luxury product. Asterisk. Botanically speaking, coffee beans are actually seeds found inside a fruit known as the coffee cherry. Each cherry usually contains 2 seeds that become the beans we know and love. It's fascinating that such a small part of a fruit can hold hundreds of aromatic and bioactive compounds that later create a complex, multi-layered beverage. Few people realize that coffee affects more than alertness. It also influences circadian rhythms and sleep. Compounds in coffee can modulate melatonin and other hormones tied to sleep cycles, which explains why a midday cup can disrupt nighttime rest, while a morning cup may help sync the body to daytime wakefulness. Coffee has long been part of rituals and social customs. In many cultures, a cup of coffee is a moment of gathering, conversation, and celebration, from thick Turkish coffee served with grounds to meticulous Japanese siphon brewing. Even modern trends like cold brew or specialty pour-overs often turn into rituals, with temperature control, brew time, and water-to-coffee ratios resembling a flavor lab. And at the heart of all this lies coffee's astonishing diversity. More than 1,000 aromatic compounds, spanning fruity, floral, chocolatey, spicy, and smoky notes. This makes every cup unique and turns the world of coffee into a playground of endless possibilities for enthusiasts and scientists alike. Though known as a stimulant, coffee has many subtle and fascinating effects that go far beyond caffeine. Even the act of drinking a cup stimulates the nervous system, metabolism, immune responses, and cellular processes. At the cellular level, coffee activates the body's natural protective mechanisms. Polyphenols and phenolic acids act as signals for oxidative stress, switching on genes responsible for DNA repair and mitochondrial protection, the powerhouses of the cells. As a result, regular, moderate consumption may support cellular longevity and counter chronic inflammation, which underlies many modern diseases. Coffee also influences the gut microbiome in ways only recently understood. It's not just about caffeine stimulating motility. Polyphenols may act as prebiotics, nurturing beneficial bacteria that affect metabolism, immunity, and even the production of neurotransmitters in the gut. Coffee's metabolic effects are equally noteworthy. It can improve insulin sensitivity and stimulate thermogenesis, the process by which the body burns energy to produce heat. This helps explain why coffee often accompanies diets and workouts, subtly supporting metabolism in the long run. Coffee also interacts with the cardiovascular system, though the effect is multifaceted. Polyphenols help protect blood vessel walls, improve arterial elasticity, and reduce oxidative stress in endothelial cells. That's why, in moderate amounts, coffee can not only stimulate but support long-term cardiovascular health. On the brain and mood level, coffee influences emotional state in nuanced ways. Beyond alertness, regular consumption may enhance neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to create new neural connections. Caffeine works synergistically with antioxidants, increasing focus, sharpening attention, and even easing stress slightly through gentle modulation of adenosine receptors. Coffee may also have anti-cancer effects, a topic studied for years. Some research links moderate coffee intake with reduced risks of liver and colon cancer, likely due to the combined actions of polyphenols, caffeine, and detoxification pathways that activate enzymes protecting liver cells from toxins. Additionally, coffee acts as a mild psychophysical enhancer. It not only stimulates circulation in the brain but reduces the perception of muscle fatigue and boosts workout performance by increasing the availability of free fatty acids as an energy source. Finally, the social and ritualistic aspects of coffee can support mental well-being on their own. A quiet moment with a cup is a pause, a mindful breath, a chance for connection, all of which help lower cortisol levels and gently support emotional health. Even beyond caffeine's physiological effects, but coffee also has a darker side. Every cup that brings pleasure and alertness can carry consequences, especially when the number of cups starts to rise. The most obvious issue is overstimulation of the nervous system, which can lead to irritability, anxiety, heart palpitations, or even blood pressure issues in extreme cases. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors to keep sleepiness away, but too much can upset the brain's neurotransmitter balance, causing nervousness, restlessness, or trouble relaxing. Coffee also affects sleep and circadian rhythms. Drinking too much, especially later in the day, shifts the body's internal clock, delays melatonin release, and reduces sleep quality. Over time, chronic overconsumption can lead to persistent sleep deficits that impair memory, focus, and metabolism. Another important factor is physiological dependence. With regular use, the brain adapts by altering adenosine receptors, meaning you need more caffeine to feel the same boost, a classic tolerance effect. Withdrawal can bring headaches, fatigue, irritability, and reduced concentration. It's not as dramatic as addiction to drugs, but it is real and can affect daily life. There's also the issue of diminished effectiveness with overuse. The more the body adapts, the weaker caffeine's impact becomes as liver enzymes metabolize it faster and receptors become less sensitive. Some individuals are particularly sensitive and may experience heart rhythm disturbances, reflux, stomach discomfort, or heightened anxiety. People with hypertension or heart conditions need to be especially careful, as coffee can temporarily raise blood pressure. Coffee can also interact with medications, boosting the effects of stimulants or counteracting the effects of sedatives and sleep aids. It's another reminder that coffee isn't a neutral everyday beverage for everyone. In the end, coffee is a complex drink, energizing, focusing, mood-boosting, yet capable of triggering dependence, disrupting sleep, and overstimulating the nervous system when consumed excessively. The key is moderation and awareness of personal sensitivity, because what feels like a morning pick-me-up for one person can be a source of stress and discomfort for another.